Ooh,
Welcome back to Cinema Corner. I'm Blake, and I'm here with my co-hosts, Josh and Alex.
and today we are reviewing Masters of the Universe. Yeah, that's the one we're doing. Masters of the Universe. This movie has gone through hell right now because it has only crossed $88.8 million globally. I believe this was upwards of 200 mil to even make. So that's tough, and it's not getting any more money. I'm telling you that right now. It had like a 70% drop off after already having a rough debut weekend. Uh, Audience loved it though. They are at an 87% on Rotten Tomatoes. Critically, it's at 68, so it's still respectable. But the biggest detriment to this movie is no one went to go see it.
Well, I've heard its week three projections are pretty crazy, so be on the lookout for those numbers to come out.
Hmm.
It's about to see a huge spike. I've heard from reports. Yeah, they don't care. Amazon doesn't care one bit. They're gonna do what they're gonna do. But yeah, like Alex said, this movie has a pretty bad critic score, very bad box office score, but it has a pretty high audience score. And at the end of the day, that's all that matters. So I feel like this movie, it felt a little longer than it needed to be. To be honest, we'll just start off with that. But basically, the quick breakdown: Adam tells a whole story about Eternia. Find out it's to a date. He's trying to get a sword to get back home, back to his home where he is the prince. He needs a sword to get there. Eventually, he finds a sword. His best friend Telia finds him. They go back. Everything's going to shit because Skeletor's in control. Basically, the rest of the movie is him finding the ability of how to use the sword of power, if you will, to become He-Man and take over Skeletor and bring Eternity back to glory. That's a very quick rundown. Really, the only rundown this movie needs. Doesn't need a whole lot more detail than that. Alex, thoughts?
Uh, yeah, I mean, I don't know if I would agree with the audience 100% at 87. That would make it it's a little high. But as I thought, and I think Josh had the same kind of sentiment, this felt like it could be another one of those movies from Dungeons and Dragons. It felt kind of like that. I didn't go into this expecting anything special, and I got a fun movie. What that's what I got out of it. The action was good. Skeletor, I'm gonna just say it. He was a highlight in this movie. He was a highlight for me. Jared Leto did not ruin it for me. And let's see, trying to think of a highlight scene when when he takes him into his mind and he starts to fuck with him. So he sees Skeletor in like human clothes. Yeah, that I can't lie. I cracked a smile. So yeah.
Yeah, let me jump in, Coach. I got next here. Hey, Skeletor was the best part of this movie.
Yeah.
He was the best part.
Yeah.
This. I just would like to know where was this energy and effort in Tron eras, but that's in the past. Jared Leto did pretty damn fucking good with this role. Crazy to say. Who would have thought that would ever be said out of my mouth ever again? And here we are. So I don't know. He was really funny, and that little ending fight was just kind of cherry on top. He just his voice acting was really good. Pretty much any scene he was in was enjoyable. I don't think he had a single just bad part. So this movie definitely was like Dungeons and Dragons. I went into this expecting kind of just a chill action film that wasn't going to have anything too deep to it, and I was just hoping for some lighthearted jokes, chill story, and some fun action, and that's what I got. Because CGI was pretty solid. I think it definitely had some fun fight scenes where they just kind of had fun with it, like I already mentioned with Skeletor there at the end, but also kind of in the beginning, and also even the Avenge fight for Man at Arms with Idris Elba's character. I think both of his main two fights were really fun and just cool to watch on the big screen. So, yeah, I mean, I kind of got everything I wanted out of this film. I was pleasantly happy, content.
Yeah, I mean, I think they found the key to, if for some reason you feel the need to use Jared Leto, as studios can still continue to do, the best thing you can do is not show his actual face or anything about him and distort his voice so you can't even fully tell it's Jared Leto. And if you do those two things, you can have a successful movie with Jared Leto in terms of people like us who don't like Jared Leto being like, oh yeah, he wasn't bad. It's a great formula. I would say instead just swap Jared Leto with literally anybody else and you could have still had that success, but it is what it is. But yeah, I mean, I agree with both of you guys. I think that the beginning, I think, really set a tone for what this movie was going to be. The whole little kind of flashback of him telling his story of Eternia. You had great fight scene with Idris Elba fighting some of the people, the little army men beforehand, and then his fight with Trap Jaw was really good. And I think that was a great introduction. And then it ended with, this joke of him being on a date. I think it set the tone for what this movie was going to be, and it just followed that the whole time. It was very fantasy. I liked that they fully leaned into it, that once we got off Earth and was in Eternia, we weren't messing around with, they weren't trying to take it too serious. It was like, hey, this is a goofy 80s comic TV show. Make it live action. Make it ridiculous. Have a bunch of wild characters and jokes in it that don't hit for everybody and just have fun with it. And I think they did. And that's the best thing that they could have done. And yeah, all around, I thought the action was really good. I thought his fight scene when he first became He-Man on the bridge was solid introduction to his character. His fight once he got into Skeletor's base and he fought off all of those people before he got knocked out was fantastic. It was a really long fight, which I enjoyed too. And then, like you said, that end fight I thought was really good. That I mean, this movie, it had definitely had jokes that just didn't land for me, which I'm fine with. There was some, kind of cringe moments or whatever. That's fine. But yeah, to me, I thought this movie did exactly what I was hoping it would do. And I left the theater very content with it. And if they continue the franchise, I'd be there to see the next ones.
That's
yeah,
a big
I hope
if, though.
that. Yeah, yeah, and if they do it, I hope they don't follow the same path of. I'd kind of honestly, I'm gonna compare this movie a bit more to the first Mario film that we got, where it's kind of just fun. It knows what it is, it fits its role, and I got everything I wanted from it. If you make a sequel, don't follow their path. All right, I actually have a game plan of it. But yeah, I to bounce off you though, that one fight where he breaks in, he's going after Skeletor, where he literally uses the people's bodies against themselves, like the one guy with the spikes and the guy's stuck on there. It was just so fun during that fight scene for sure.
Yeah, and the action was, again, shot really well. It didn't feel like they were cutting away every 2 seconds, which was a pleasant surprise. That fucking beatdown that he gave Skeletor at the end there just was hilarious, and it was enjoyable. I'm trying to think, because it's been at least three weeks now. Is there anything we did not like at all? Like something that just irked you to the point where you're like, yeah, no.
I mean, my thing, like I said, there's times the comedy was a little bit like, whatever, which I was fine with. But besides that, I thought from an acting standpoint, everything was fine. I really enjoyed the dynamic of the two main characters, He-Man and Telia, I think. I really enjoyed their chemistry and thought that they were good. Idris Elba, it was great to see him on a big screen again. Why don't we do that more often? Where are we? What are we doing, Idris? But yeah, really, the comedy was the main thing. Because looks-wise, I thought it looked good for the most part. Every now and then there were scenes that were a little goofy, but nothing horrible. So yeah, that's really... I felt like it was a little long. We could have trimmed some things down for sure, I think. And the little like escape type scene, that was one of the moments that I was like, okay, when he's like trying to give his pep talk to them, and it was very like not good and just awkward, and then they break out and then they all start coughing. That definitely could have been reworked. That was probably the biggest scene that I can think of that I was like, yeah, that was like a rough 10 minutes pretty much straight that I was like, okay, come on, what are we doing here? Fix the writing, trim this down, and we would have been fine.
Yeah, I think the only thing you could say is like maybe you could be mad that they didn't try to do anything bold or new with it instead of kind of making it a, let's be real, generic action film. That's a fine critique if you want, but I don't think.
I mean, it's an origin story though. It's an origin story. Like there's you don't want to go too outside the box, and then that's when we get like some pretty big stinkers. And that's the good thing about this movie is that it's stuck to what it is. It didn't shy away from trying to be something gritty or trying to like, oh, I can't remember. There's been a few like adaptations that just don't like completely forget everything or just they don't even mention the prior iterations at all, or even show any sort of glimpse of what was. They just tend to ignore it and pretend like it didn't happen, and it just comes off as just like pretentious and oftentimes just bad. And in this case, it came out in the 80s. The 80s was kind of cheesy, and they definitely leaned into it. So I can appreciate that, even though like Blake said, there's a few times where the jokes didn't quite land, but there were some times where it was funny, and it did land. So for me, that wasn't really like a big deal breaker. But do we want to talk about the post credit scenes to something that may or may not lead to something? Because
What do you mean? Why would you think they're not going to lead to something?
well, it's look, unless they do something where it goes to straight to Amazon or something. That's the only way I could see that they would continue this. I mean, and the audience, like I mentioned earlier, they pretty much enjoyed it. The people that did go see it, and yeah, I could see them do that. I don't know. They if Amazon chooses to do it, I would for sure watch it. But I don't know, it's just sad that the movie didn't get a chance to thrive in the theater.
I mean,
But
they picked a shit time to release it. Let's be
yeah,
All
that
right,
and
you
then
released it after a big Memorial weekend with Mando and Grogu. Whether that movie is good or not, regardless, that's going to dominate the talk. And then you also got shit on, sadly, not something to expect, but unexpected Obsession and Backrooms are still dominating the field. And then you got a Spielberg film right there after you with Disclosure Day. They picked a very dumb time to release a film that needs people to talk about it, to get people to come see it, when
Yeah.
kind of social media was dominated by everything else.
yeah, that's unfortunate. So you have to mix that in along with. Listen, this is an IP that is from the 80s, and it's only ever had the cartoon, and I think one movie that didn't really do anything or wasn't like anything special. I think it was with Dolph Lundgren, who was in a movie as a
Yeah,
cameo
I
there.
thought that was hilarious when Dolph Lundgren showed up. I was laughing.
Yeah,
A couple of us in the theater were laughing when he showed up.
yeah. So like, other than that, it hasn't been like this. It's not culturally as impactful as like a Mario Bros that's been around since the 90s or whatever, so it's like it's not something that's been coming up in different iterations, so maybe people just don't really jive with it as much as they once did, and the people that did go see it are probably all the kids at the time that in the 80s who are now grown as adults who took their kids with them to go see the movie, and that's pretty much about it. I just saw something earlier saying that the biggest group that goes to see these movies are Gen Z, and Gen Z did not show up for this movie at all. It was bad. It was, I think it's like 7% of the audience was Gen Z for this movie. So when you don't have Gen Z going to two movies, this kind of stuff happens where they underperform severely, and then you have on the flip side Obsession and Backrooms, which are very Gen Z, targeted to Gen Z. Then you get what's happening right now. And on top of that, they're good movies, so, or at least so I hear. And that's
Well,
what happens.
let's not act like Backrooms deserves comment.
I'm just I'm just speaking on the box office. But
I
yeah.
think we can get to the ratings here. This movie gave me what I wanted. I liked it. I enjoyed it. I would give this movie a 7.2 out of 10.
Okay. I gave this movie a 6.9.
Well, damn, I gave it a 6.5 out of 10. Salad.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean they're all pretty close. I mean we're definitely lower than the audience score, which I think we all agree with is fair. But
Yeah.
overall, I mean, like you said, if people gave this a shot and they went in kind of with the mindset we thought, that people should just have the same mindset in terms of don't expect anything, phenomenal, just go enjoy it. It lived up to that, so can't really fault it for that. Just unfortunate release time, I feel like, is going to be the main thing with this, but.
Who knows? Maybe it might have a second life on Prime when it comes out to streaming, and
Which I
maybe
could
that
see.
causes them to, yeah. So
Yeah. I guess we'll see. As always, let us know in the comments down below if you're one of the few that saw He-Man like with us, Masters of the Universe. Let us know in the comments down below what you thought of the movie. Like the video, subscribe channel, and we'll see you guys in the next one.